the duality of or the paradigm of an employee-employer relationship versus a business partnership are two very differing notions or very differing perspectives or very differing relationships. If you have a look at the dichotomy between an employee-employer relationship versus any business partnership, you start to see it as in a business partnership, it's two or more parties coming together to reach a common dream, a common goal, a common outcome, whatever it is. But if you look at that in comparison to an employee-employer relationship, an employer has a goal or an objective or a vision for their future. But fortunately, unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, the employee in that relationship is nothing more than a conduit to be able to bring those goals or dreams to life for the employer. And that's why you have a look at it on a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement. Whichever way you want to look at it, an employee will always fall on the expenses side of it, or a liability for the company. You have a look at every big company, every big employer in the world. And what is their number one focus? It's how to reduce the size of their employees, right? So many big companies over the past few years, I think there was some ridiculous stat of over hundreds and hundreds of millions of jobs being terminated, being non-existent since the start of COVID. And this is where you start to see a massive difference between an employee-employer relationship and a business partnership, because an employee and an employer relationship can never be alike to a business partnership, because the foundation of that relationship is completely different. When you're in business partnership with someone, it is an equal, unrestricted, 100% commitment from two or more parties, meaning regardless of the stake in that company, they have an equal, unrestricted involvement in driving that company's growth and success, or their company's growth and success, whether they have an equity investment in it, a time investment in it, or any sort of partnership to do with it. But an employee-employer relationship, at the end of the day, if you're an employee, you can be let go at any point in time. We can be replaced at any point in time. And as I started to understand this paradigm between the two, it started to make me a lot more prone to searching for business partnerships. And that's something I was blessed to get the privilege of access to many, many years ago. So understand the difference between an employee-employer relationship and a business partnership before you make a decision at 18 that will define the rest of your life. Because the decision I made at 18 when I started an actuarial studies degree was going to be with an inevitability of getting a job in an employee-employer relationship. But I realized that that had no essence of partnership, meaning at any point in time, I was a replaceable commodity. Because at the end of the day, when you're an employee, you're stuck in what we call the E quadrant. And any job in that E quadrant is replaceable. That's why you always say it. You could pass away today and your employer will replace you by tomorrow. But if a business owner or someone in partnership passes away, it takes a lot more to be able to replace them. Why? Because they hold a strong essence or a strong pillar in that environment. So think about that before you make your choice.